What are we thankful for in gaming? The first thing I am thankful for is what I perceive to be the ever growing death of loot boxes. It came, it saw, it wanted to conquer, but as Gandalf says, we shall not or did not let it pass. Hello and welcome to level 89 of the Thoughts and Players podcast, the gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. I am Jeremy here with my two compadres. Of course, I have David.
What up?
And I have Corey.
Good evening, fellas.
Good evening. How's everyone doing this fine evening?
Doing all right.
Good.
Good.
Rocking
good,
the
good.
TP shirt.
He is. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can see, hopefully you can see, he's got the TNP shirt. That is the throwback logo, which we love.
Yeah.
Those shirts were made. David, can you shout out the person that made those shirts for us?
My friend Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. I have mine. I do have mine. You know, here's the thing, right? Pandemonium. Your boy wasn't svelte to begin with, right? Getting a little bit more barreled on the upper body, but I'm gonna get into it.
And if you didn't know, on our links, we also post the merch store.
We do
So now-
we
so
do
now
need
you-
to post the merch store. Yeah,
Did you just mispronounce it the same way I did?
I did. I did. It was simpatico. You messed me up. Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah, we also do post the links to the merch store where you can
Yes.
get a bunch of stuff, all that stuff there. I have to post photos. I have the stickers, a couple of stickers I got that are great. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, chickens, ducks, and hens, we want to welcome you into a holiday edition of the pod. It's early Dicembre, as the Italians would say. We are well into the holiday spirit. We are by Thanksgiving. We are heading straight for Christmas and the New Year's and so on and so forth. So we want to do a little bit of a holiday themed episode for you, but in a little bit of discussion. So, like I said, we've got 3 holidays we're going to touch on. Now, most recently we had Thanksgiving, right? Or as the Italians would call it, Thanksgiving Jay. And we like again, we
I
have
thought he was gonna be like, as the Italians say, at Thanksgiving.
no. Apparently, I can't do that. That is cultural appropriation. I can't do it for some reason. I can't.
Jeez.
I am barred from doing the Italian hands, which you so gracefully did. I appreciate. So we've got topics that cover each one of these holidays for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, and I'm excited to jump into it, fellas. We had a little bit of a conversation beforehand. I think we all have an understanding of what we're getting into. There might be some pandemonium that takes place, but that's what the show is for. Are we ready to jump into this thing?
Yeah.
Feet first.
Okay. So let's start with the theme of Thanksgiving. Usually Thanksgiving is a holiday where you talk about and celebrate what you're thankful for. Okay. So that's what we're going to do with this first one. We love gaming. That's why we have a gaming podcast. So we're going to keep it high level of what are we thankful for in gaming? I don't know how many odd things we want to offer thanks for. I have one that just popped immediately to mind.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So
Let's start it.
The first thing I am thankful for is what I perceive to be the ever growing death of loot boxes. It came, it saw, it wanted to conquer, but as Gandalf says, we shall not or did not let it pass. Okay. we chopped it off right at the knees. We went Dan Campbell at it. We bit off a kneecap, and then when it tried to knock us down, we got back up and we bit off the other kneecap. That thing can't move anymore, right? That's one thing I'm thankful for, because it looked like that was a direction the industry was headed in hard, and I feel like if there wasn't as much resistance as there was, the industry would have went even harder into that direction. And there's still remnants of it there, right? We still have, mostly in sports gaming, because that's where it's rooted in. That's the origins of that disease. That's where it festered and spread, and it's still there because that's its roots. And as we've said before, sports gamers are the dumbest brand of gamers. They let things like that fester and live. But otherwise, besides that, though, we've been able to keep it at bay and have it go away. There's obviously other issues stores have cropped up in the space of that. So I think of like the Fallout 76 store, the Diablo 4 store, different things like that that are not great. But overall, the mechanism of loot boxes have been defeated. So that's a win for us, and we just got to keep fighting the good fight. But that is one thing I am thankful for.
We're all thankful for it, I think.
Yeah.
If I could jump in real quick.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Now, I am extremely thankful for real AAA gaming on powerful mobile devices.
Yeah.
Steam Deck. There's Asus.
Asus Rogue Ally.
Yeah, like
yes,
you have
Legion
these
Pro.
real devices that play AAA games on the go. And they work really well. I have a Steam Deck. It's comfortable for how awkward it actually kind of looks. Games tend to run pretty well on it. Steam, Valve has done a good job, like letting you know, hey, this game's going to work like this. This game might have small text, but it's finally happened where you're not stuck to a TV, or if you are mobile gaming, you're playing very small, bite-sized versions of other games that you would like to play. And that's very important for me coming up, because I'm noticing a trend when I turn on my console. My son wants me to play Splatoon. He wants me to play Kirby. He wants me to play Pokemon. I'm not always down for those games. So if I want to get away from those, I grab my mobile device and I can play it on that. So very thankful, and I can't wait to see the future too. Just how much more sleek they'll get, how much more everything will just work without any kind of like stipulations or anything like that. So very excited for the future of that, and thankful, of course.
Yeah, they've done such a great job too with the panels they put on them.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to the internals. I think feeling like they can actually catch up to what the panel can do, because you give me an Asus Rogue Ally that can do full HD 120 hertz, but I mean, how many games am I getting at 120 hertz on that device based upon the APU and the GPU and different things like that are in it? So it's looking forward to like those things catching up with it. Like it'll be fun.
It was really the biggest hurdle for PC gaming for me. Now, it's a handheld, but it is a PC. It's a handheld PC, and it's been great.
Right. And it's nice that it's not mostly just Nintendo being the mobile gaming that's not an app on your phone,
Right.
Because they've mostly dominated. We've seen PlayStation try, with their PSP and the Vita, and now they have whatever it's called, both Steam Deck and stuff.
And you know what? Shout out to Nintendo, because they were out first with, hey, this console's going to run every game that we make. We're going to run the big Zelda games, and AAAs did come, and not all of them were spectacular. We've seen Mortal Kombat 1 look terrible, but something like The Witcher, Divinity Original Sin 2, while not looking as good, huge RPGs that run on a handheld console. Gotta love it.
Exactly. Yeah, and what the Steam do, they brought the same thing, but now I can take the game that I bought on Steam for 77 cents and I can play it on the go when I want to. So that's great.
Shout out Shadows of War.
$5. Shouts out.
$5.
Shouts out. $5.
Let's see. Mine would have to be innovation, and that for like many things of it. We can go from the controls. Like if you try to play an old Resident Evil and play a new one, the controls are just so much different. It's actually kind of hard to play the old controls. You have to sit there and try to drill it into your brain how to play them again, and then it's fine. But like I said, I tried to play for Survivor, and I lasted about 5 minutes before I said, I am done. I can't do this. So I like that the controls are, getting better as the gaming systems are aging, and I like that we're getting up to how powerful systems are with PCs. Of course, they're not going to be on par with like the really expensive computers, because that's kind of absurd. Because why would you spend $3,000 on an Xbox, But they make it a very affordable in today's world for gaming, and I like that. And then the graphics are, just as good, if not just a little bit under. And I like the many gaming genres. There isn't so much of a niche as the niches used to be. You know, every genre has kind of expanded itself over the last couple years, and I just like that. I like that everything is getting better and expanding. I'm thankful for that.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
Talked about before, like the idea of like a game such as Dark Souls birthing its own genre and then having subgenres within that genre. It's, a pretty cool thing, you know?
Yeah.
100%.
Do you got another one,
Uh,
Jeremy?
I do you have another one? Because I do have one, but I want to make sure I formulate it correctly how I express it. So
Okay, I have another one as well.
Yeah.
And this is thankful for kind of where the future is going, because I see it going this way with exclusives. Exclusives are not as big of a deal as they used to be. Exclusives were like this like fork in the road where it's like, hey, you have to pick a side, and for a lot of people that's just not viable to get everything. But now we see Xbox being a lot more gracious with the games that they come out with. Every game is on PC. Some of them have gone to Switch, and if PlayStation would let them, they'd probably bring Game Pass to PlayStation. Let's not lie there. And even though PlayStation's been very slow on the upkeep, they have finally started putting their games on PC, and they come out a little bit later, but it's been getting sooner and sooner. So, and Nintendo is still kind of further behind, but that's what Nintendo does. They wait a few years just to see how it works out for companies. And in a couple of years, I expect them to kind of have that same progression where it's not, hey, which system do you want to buy because it has these couple games that you need to play. It's more of like, which ecosystem do you like best? Which one are you most comfortable with? What company do you just prefer because of either ethics or how they treat their customers? And that's a really good future to look forward to. And it's definitely coming along. And tying into that is definitely like crossplay getting much more viable with a lot of games.
100%.
Which always hurt people back in the day. 360s and the Xbox Ones, where it's just like, I got an Xbox, I don't have it on PlayStation, can't really play with you. But now, especially for a lot of the bigger games now, there's no stopping it. The companies have to allow. The smaller games right now have a little bit of a harder time getting crossplay, but I think in 5-10 years, maybe the beginning of the next console, just won't even be an issue. Each one, you have your name for that game, and you can play with whoever you want.
That'd be ideal. That'd be the great thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. It's kind of like a I don't know. It's a meandering path that we'll get to the end for the next thing I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for there seemingly being a rise of time conscious developers. So what I mean by that is, like, we've talked before, and you talked about how like games are getting bigger. They're getting bigger. They're getting longer. The development is taking longer. And what's happened in the interim, in the space of that, not so much the interim, but in the space of that, as a response, is there are now developers that are intentionally developing their games that this is a 3-hour experience. This is a 5 or 7 hour experience. This is much more contained and much more concentrated, right? Because someone like me very much, it gravitates towards that, where it's like, I want my gaming experience. I don't have a lot of time. I want to be able to experience as many stories as I can. And especially, this is my concern. It's not just with games. This is generally just me, not just with games, but also with movies and television. Everything feels longer for no reason. And so I'm thankful that there's beginning to grow developers that are purposely making their games so that they aren't taking forever. They're designing them so you can have a great experience in a short amount of time, but they can be longer if you want. So I think of games like Vampire Survivors as one. Survivors is designed where you can beat a level in 30 minutes. Now, you may be able to put 40, 50, 60 hours in it. I know I put 30. Corey, I think you said you've put 40, maybe 60 hours in it, right?
It's not my wife, 100, over 120.
It's not that you can't lose time in these, but they're designed to give you a very good, concise experience. So I think of like Vampire Survivors. I think of Thronefall, right? I think of something like the smaller like Playdead Studio games, kind of like Limbo and Inside and Cocoon, where these are like smaller, more concentrated experiences. I'm grateful for that, right? One of the games I'm excited for coming up, it's going to be the next Hellblade that's coming out. Part of that is the last Hellblade was 7 hours. That was a great, compelling, emotive
Mm-hmm.
story told in less than 10 hours. You can do it. And so yeah, I mean, I love to play games that are longer every once in a while, like a Ghost, like a Final Fantasy 16. But even with some of those games, it's like it's getting a little bit long here. So I'm thankful that there seems to be a movement in game development that's like, hey, we can make these shorter and more concentrated and give the player, hey man, you don't have to spend 60 hours in this game. That's absurd. That we're asking 60 hours from you.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then like getting upset when you don't want to play our game, like it doesn't work on launch or something like that. Like, come on, man. Like, let's be more reasonable. I appreciate that. I'm thankful for that. I'm hoping to see that grow in 2024 and so on.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't ever really think about that. You know, I just assumed people like, oh, this is all we got is 5 hours worth of gameplay. But if if they're looking at it this way, like, hey, we want to keep it at 5 hours, so we gotta cram this into it. We gotta lose this, add this. That makes sense.
It's interesting. I was just on Reddit, and one of the Reddit posts was, hey, what's the best video game you can play under 10 hours? The unanimous choice was Titanfall 2. And I know we've mentioned that before. It's one of the most underrated games ever, right? In general, but like you can deliver a completely just absolutely legendary experience of a game in that 10 to 12, 10 to 14, 10 to 16 hour window. We don't need
Right.
these 30, 40, 50, 60 hour games. It's cool if they're there. I'm not saying just don't make them, but I'm saying there's too many of them. Not everyone can invest that. I mean, what do you want from people? You want 70 hours for Zelda, 150 hours in Baldur's Gate 3, 40, 50 hours in Final Fantasy. Like, what are we asking for people? It's too much. Yeah. Now, I know someone will say, well, just don't play all those games. But if I'm interested in all those games, then I'm going to have to make that time investment. And don't get me even involved with Starfield, where you got to put 60 hours in just to get beyond nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, Thronefall, I love you. Thronefall, I love you so much. Play that, I love you so much. You keep making those fantastic 5 to 7 hour games for me.
I got another.
Okay.
I'm thankful for the music that comes out of this. I forget the word right now. Business, I guess. Video games, like
industry.
Industry. Thank you. That's the word. Like the Last of Us soundtrack, I could listen to that all the time. And then like another chip tune, it sounds like the old video game music.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing genre. And it's amazing to see what us humans can do with just a simple of, this is what this game is about. This is what this story and this exact moment is about. We need you to make us feel this emotion with the music. And some of us can just do that. And that's awesome. And there's just too many games to announce what awesome music it comes from. Even just simple stuff as in like the Sonic games, at least the originals. Casino Night and Oil Rig and just Green Hills. It's such good music, and I'm thankful for that.
So much of the gaming industry, especially like AAA, feels almost like soulless, or like we got to reach the biggest audience. We got to make it just. We're scared to do anything kind of like special. But music doesn't feel like that. It still feels like, even today, it's made by very passionate people with just a love for their craft. A lot of developers obviously do have a love for their craft, but it feels like sometimes they get bogged down by the companies that are producing these games. But it always feels like music shows up in a big way with like heart.
Yeah, people who harp on the dollar on the bottom line are going to always be able to manipulate game development aspects more than music or
Right.
like it's I think it's something they don't even really think about. Like, I don't just make sure that it hits this mark. I don't really care what music we in the composer's just off in a corner somewhere, just composing in their heart, just freaking Ray Charles in it, right? And so yeah, I think 100% music. And I think that's one thing that's elevated indie games has been the music.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that elevates it the most.
Yeah. You guys got any more?
I think that's Thanksgiving.
I think that's Thanksgiving.
All right.
Happy birthday, turkey, as my son says.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, that's funny.
Moving on from one turkey to a jive turkey, and that jive turkey Santa. We're talking Christmas.
Hey.
And for Christmas, we're doing the Christmas is it's the epitome of the spirit and season of giving. And so we want to talk about giving games. So ideally, like, what kind of games would we give someone that's new to gaming? What game would we give someone to introduce them to the world of gaming? What game would we give someone that's got some experience, that's a vet, right? But maybe we want to introduce them to a different experience than they've had so far. And then let's theorize what kind of game we would give to each other.
What? Yeah, no way.
Let's see how well we know each other with this.
Okay. So this is fun. This is fun. And if it looks like I wasn't paying attention to your guys' answers the whole last time, because I wasn't. Right. I was racking my brain. Like
100%.
Going in my mind palace and just like, what can I do here? But I thought of a great answer. So, but Jeremy or David, if you guys want to start off here.
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay.
So
new gamer?
A new gamer.
Okay.
I think a great game would be Omno. Because one, it's very easy. It's, there's like no enemies or anything really. So you can sit there, you can learn the controls. They can sit and just absorb this scenery and see that video games are amazing. It's not just shooting people and killing things and ruining stuff and destroying buildings. It can be an amazing, beautiful experience. And just the story in there is straightforward. The game, probably for a new person, instead of being 3.5 hours, it's probably be 5-6 hours, because of the learning and trying to figure out stuff to do and just being new to it. So it's long enough to keep attention and short enough to where they won't get bored. So
that's a great pick.
I think that's a good one. Also, we just mentioned the music is really amazing and enticing. So I think them hearing the music would also help them keep playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah, good pick.
Great choice. That's a great choice.
I'll jump in next, Jeremy.
Okay.
So I had one choice in my head, and Jeremy, you might actually pick this one. I don't know if you will, but then something popped out, and I thought, man, I love this game so much, and I did recommend it to a lot of people, and I would recommend it to everybody because I loved it so much, and I think it would hit a lot of sweet spots that new to gaming in general, would be like, this is kind of enticing. And that pick is a little game called Forager. Now, I talked about Forager quite a bit for such a small game that I played, 3 years ago or whatever it was, but I loved it. And like the part I think that new gamers would love is the reward system. You do something, you unlock something, and you get rewarded, and you get a new ability. And it's not a difficult game as far as I remember. You're kind of chopping down trees and collecting resources and getting coins, and you're doing some small puzzles, and is there maybe a little bit of small combat, but nothing too heavy. But what you're doing is you're starting off small, very manageable. I think you're on like one island, and you're just filling out that island and doing the stuff that it wants you to do. Collect coins so you can buy an upgrade, and then you buy an upgrade, and then you buy a new part of the island. And before you know it, you're 32 islands deep, and you're going to every part of the thing, and you're solving really cool puzzles, and you're seeing new things you've never seen. And it rewards you, and it's addicting. It feels like a mobile game that tries to get you to spend money, and it's like, hey, this will be built in 24 hours, but speed it up. But it's not that. It's just like the best parts of that. It's cutesy. It's got that all white little orb looking character. Don't remember the music. I'm sure it was kind of like poppy and kind of like fun to like shake your head to. So graphics aren't too intimidating. It's on a 2D plane. So that's like easier for people that don't really know how to kind of control characters. Because you give someone brand new a controller, they're lost. So you make it easier, you make it simple, you make a lot of unlocking to make it fun. So Forager is my pick for a brand new gamer.
It's a good pick.
It's a good pick.
Is that what you were going to choose, Jeremy?
No, that's not what I was going to choose. I'm going to go completely 100% off the wall.
Oh, no.
I know this is 100% off the wall. But just hear me out on it.
Okay.
Right? the game that I'm picking to introduce someone to gaming, because I'm also not, I feel like part of the expectation you guys are having with your choices is skill level, right? Of someone that's new to gaming. I'm saying, damn all of that. You'll figure it out. This is the game you need to experience. And that game is The Last of Us.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my reasons for it. I still to this day, and we talk about it all the time, can you find a better written game than that game?
No.
So if you're someone that's coming from the outside that has exposure to story, and you want to see how video games stacks up as a storytelling tool, right? You're sucked into the story. You care about these characters immediately. Number two, it's zombies, dude. Zombies are an easy cultural trope. And number three, it's got stealth, it's got shooting and action, it's got puzzles, it's got set pieces. It has all the tropes of a AAA video game within it. But the thing that it has over everything is that story and that investment in characters of Joel and Ellie. I think I'm saying, hey, this is what I want to introduce you with. I almost went with another game like Skyrim. Skyrim has too many systems. I don't want to bog them down with systems. Last of Us does not have that many systems. It has, here's some guns. You're going to have a lot of ammo. Here's running. Here's stealth. Here you go. Do that. So that's what I give you. I give you The Last of Us. It's a 12 to 14 hours. So it's longer, but it's not crazy, right? That's what I choose.
You're a madman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. The game is difficult, and I don't know what it's like on the easy mode, but that game is very difficult. And stealth is a very hard mechanic. But
easy mode is pretty easy.
If it's pretty easy, I think that's an excellent pick. You saw how that show just blew up. People loved the show. The game is the show, but you control it. So yes, if you get somebody who's new to gaming but has hand-eye coordination, 100% agree. You can't get better than The Last of Us in terms of almost like a total package.
I concur.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's go to the game we would give someone that has experience. It's a vet game, right? What can we turn them on to, as the kids say? What can we put them on that would blow their mind they ain't seen before?
See,
this is a tougher one.
The hard part about this is I was gonna give the veterans Last of Us because of the difficulty changes you can do and how enticing the story is. Everything you said for the newbie, for the veteran,
Jeez.
And just because I played Grounded, which is the hardest difficulty, and that took me like 36 hours to beat because I was dying so many times. But see, well,
my theory is if you're a vet, if you got 10, 12 plus years in the game, you've either played The Last of Us and you know it's not for you, or you know it's not for you.
These are fair assessments. So I'm just gonna need a minute just to think of something.
Yeah.
So if one of you guys got
okay, I can go. I had two games. I honestly can't remember the second one now, so I'll have to go with my original choice. What do you do for someone that's an experienced gamer? They probably played a lot of games, right? They probably played a ton of games. So I've got to try to figure out something that maybe was a little bit unsung. And I've mentioned this game a lot, so this kind of feels like sorry for saying it so much. But Pyre. Pyre is a game that I played in 2019 that I absolutely adored. It's made by Supergiant, I believe, who made the Hades games. Hades and Bastion and Transistor, and that is definitely the one that just gets like under the radar. I don't feel as many people played it, but it's got all the hallmarks that they're known for. They are known for great music, a really awesome art style, solid gameplay, and just like a beautiful, beautiful story. And I'm telling you guys, and I've mentioned it a few times, like I said, like I would love. This is like one of those games. Like I would love for all of my friends to have played this game. I would love it. It's got a really unique kind of like sports action. You're playing a sport, it's their own made up sport in kind of like purgatory or something like that. And you're trying to escape and you meet new characters, you recruit characters, you play out a season. It doesn't matter if you win or lose, the story will go on. If you lose, the story will change. But if you win, the story will, change as well. So beautiful done. It's just one of those games where I wish everyone would play. So if I'm giving it to an experienced gamer, I don't think they've played it. So I want them to experience it.
Good reason.
Thank you. Thanks.
Should I take it or
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go
okay. So yeah, if I'm gonna go with a game that I can recommend to a vet, that I'm gonna assume that maybe they didn't play, kind of like you're saying, Corey. The one I'm going to recommend is Brothers in Arms, and that's because it hits the quintessential World War II FPS, but it has the whole story that's interconnected with your squad. You can control your squad, ask them to, flank enemies, send them to add suppressing fire while you flank. Like positioning and strategy is all a part of it, right? But like it's within all those things. So that's the game that I would recommend to someone that's experienced. I do have a second candidate, which would be Kingdom Under Fire Crusaders. Which basically combines like a Mushu with Troop Command. It's Dynasty Warriors-esque, kind of like, but not really.
Like Bladestorm? Like Bladestorm a little?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, more like along lines of Bladestorm, but it's fantasy based. Great. It just holds up really well. So, but I would say first option, let's go with Brothers in Arms because that's also an IP that there's rumors of them bringing back. So, yeah. But yeah, I'd say I'd recommend that one.
Do you have one, David?
Choice. I do. I actually have two.
Yeah,
I had that amount of time. Okay, so the first one, most people may have played it, but for people like Jeremy, for example, a lot of people don't like horror games too much.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this one doesn't have so many scary out of nowhere like jump scare stuff like that. It's just a horror story of a game, and it's Resident Evil 4. As you saw, the remake was Game of the Year nominee, and while it is a horror game, it is the first Resident Evil that's more actiony, and I think it has a great story. It's the one I've played the most out of any of them, and it's not too long and it's not too short, and it really sets the tone of what, maybe I could play another horror game, maybe just another Resident Evil, but maybe I can get into this a little bit. And then the other one is more of a smaller game, and this is not even my typical kind of game, was Mo Astray. Played that way back when episode 20, 30, somewhere around there. Great puzzle game, had a great story. It was very challenging at some points. You're just this little blob trying to make your way through these puzzles and the levels and stuff. And I really think it gives a challenge, and despite it not being most people's genre, I think it would still be fun.
That's a great pick for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give another recommendation.
Go for it.
I wish someone would have recommended this to me before I kind of found out what the game was more about. And I couldn't remember the title at first, but Jeremy, I feel like this would be a good one that you recommend. Spectre Ops?
Spec Ops: The Line?
Spec Ops: The Line.
Oh, yes.
When you look at it, it looks like a generic. Is it third person or first person?
Third person.
Third person. The graphics didn't seem great for the time. It seemed very generic. Now talking to you and kind of seeing stuff online, I figured out what that game's about, and I wish I could have played it at the time. So an experienced gamer, they probably haven't even heard of that game, or they kind of just like let it kind of go.
It seems like on the outside a very dismissible game, like you're saying.
Yeah. Like I saw it. Hey, generic. Obviously, there's something you don't want to spoil, but if you get to experience that fresh, I can only imagine it's just like mind blowing. So that's something I wish like someone would have recommended to me without me being like knowing a little bit more about it. So
Spec Ops: The Line is so great. Almost want to start playing it again.
And I might end up buying it eventually and just experience it for myself.
Yeah. So great. Do we have any other games for what we would give someone experience? Are we moving on to what we would give each other?
That's
What
what
we
I'm
give
thinking.
each other.
Okay. Who would like to go first on that?
Okay, go ahead,
You
David.
want-
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So for Corey, you've never really mentioned playing this game, but I think hopefully you haven't. X2. Did you play that one?
X2.
Final Fantasy
X2?
X2?
Oh, I did for a very small amount of time.
Okay, because
Very small.
it's a continuation of
But
10.
that's a great pick. I would love to get
And-
gifted this game and give it another chance to play it.
Yeah, I really loved it. Because X and X2 are my favorite Final Fantasies because it's not really a genre that I prefer,
Right.
you know? So I thought that would be a good one.
What a good pick. Yeah, because I think at the time it deviated too much from Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it didn't have
10.
like this
And I was like,
grid, and it had like the
no, I'm
different.
not into this. But the job
Yeah, it was-
system is iconic in Final Fantasy, and I didn't realize it at the time. Like I was like, oh, this is just too different. I was looking for the same kind of stuff, but I feel like I would
Right.
definitely appreciate that. But great pick. What a good pick.
And then for Jeremy, it is an older game, but I feel like it's good because I enjoyed it and I've talked about it. Kingdom Total Annihilation. That's, you have your different types of people and you make the buildings and the people, the strategy, and it's a lot of fun. And I think you would have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. I can get behind that. I can for sure get behind that. Yeah.
I need to
Not as-
see.
It's not as good as my pick.
Is there a place that sells really old games like that?
Disc replay?
Ooh. Old PC.
Well, I mean, like
games.
online.
Oh,
like
Online, probably GOG.
GOG. I'll have to look into that.
They'll probably have it. I just remembered I bought games on GOG.
Got it.
Including Spec Ops: The Line. So yeah, I have to try there, but probably GOG.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll go
Okay,
next.
who's next?
And I'm kind of excited for this. I feel like I found a couple. David, I don't think you've played this series at all, and I think
High chance.
there's a high chance you haven't played it. If I pick a game you played, then that's just on me. That's my bad right there. Okay, but you're very surprising, David, because you play these battle royals. I've already mentioned this before, and then you get with like these kind of like deep games that are like very just like lonely and kind of like you're going about your business, like Grizz and Omno and stuff like that. And you seem to really take to those types of games, but I don't think you played the horror one of that, right? Have you played Little Nightmares?
I haven't.
I would gift you the Little Nightmares collection because it is considered just as good as any of those other ones, like the Insides or the Limbos of the world. And it's got that horror tinge to it that's just like very like creepy kind of like graphics and like designs of the creatures and the areas. And it's just a really cool game that I think you would enjoy for that kind of like the same reason you like Grizz and Omno. I don't know why, because I don't really enjoy these games. I don't know why you guys like those games, but it has that mixed with the horror. And I think you would really love that series. And I know they're coming out with the number 3. So yeah, I would definitely gift you the Little Nightmares 1 and 2.
That's a good choice because I have seen very minor gameplay of those games and they do look interesting. I just have never thought about actually getting the games and playing them.
Yeah, I think like, yeah, you don't see yourself as that type of gamer maybe, but every time you buy one of them, you're like, yeah, this game changed my life and my perspective on the world. It's like every time you're like a new man.
Oh, you're not wrong.
And Jeremy, for you, this one isn't cheating. It is a video game, but it was first a board game, if you can accept that.
Okay.
But there's a video game / board game called Gloomhaven. I don't know if you've seen it on Steam.
I have not.
Okay, so you have not. So this is a huge dungeon crawl RPG. It's card based. So what you're really doing is you're playing either the top action of the card or the bottom action of the card. And whichever one you play, that also has a number associated with it. So it'll determine your initiative. If you go before your enemies and stuff like that. But you're taking these missions, you're going through these dungeons, you're moving around, you're using tactical gameplay to finish whatever the mission is. And then you also have sort of the story mode where you're like, hey, the townspeople need your help. Do you go to the town and help them, or do you do this? And then obviously decisions are made, and that affects your gameplay. You're leveling up characters, you're gaining new abilities, you get to swap out cards with upgraded cards. Eventually you get to retire the characters that you leveled up, and you get to have new characters. It's a really awesome board game. Really awesome. Kind of like on the
sounds
top.
like a little bit of Wildermyth in there, it sounds like maybe.
Possibly. I don't think it's so much on the story. It's definitely not as much story as Wildermyth, but definitely has a ton of tactical gameplay. I think you would enjoy it. It's got that dark fantasy that I think you tend to like.
Yeah.
It's got unique like characters. It's not just a dwarf or a wizard. It has unique people in there. And speaking from the board game experience, had a lot of fun with it. It's a great multiplayer game if you're able to, get your girlfriend maybe into it, or just, like Josh or something like that. I think you would like it. And I heard that the adaptation to the video game realm was great. So Gloomhaven for you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a little, left field kind of game. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can get into that. Yeah, I can get into that. Okay. Well, let's see here. My recommendations may be a little off the wall again, but I think I got to read on some stuff. So for David, it's actually going to be a game that we've just mentioned multiple times. And that is Spec Ops: The Line.
Oh,
because
nice.
because it hits kind of like on the shooter aspect of it for you, right? A more kind of present day modern shooter aspect, but it also has those psychological dark narrative themes that it seems like, games like like Resident Evil has that a little bit, but like, a little bit of Remedy storytelling. So things like Control and Alan Wake, it does some narrative things that kind of fit along that, right? But also it's a fairly concise game, so I feel like you'd be able to get through it and not feel like this thing is bogging you down. It's taking forever, but get like a really great, interesting experience with it. And I think because of the mechanics of the game, I don't want to say they're easy, but they're very familiar, so it doesn't feel like it gets in the way of the story, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be a great game for you to check out.
And with his memory, he has no idea what we were talking about, 4, 5, 6 months ago about it.
100%.
Yeah, not at all.
100%. For you, Corey, I'm not sure if I'm gonna look up to make sure I have the studio name right. Because they're a pretty well-known studio, but I don't think you talk a lot about RGG Studio. So I think what I would recommend to you, I can't remember if you played them or not in the series, but I would recommend to you more recently, Like a Dragon Ishin.
Oh yeah, the turn-based one, right?
No, it's the regular action one.
Oh, okay.
So like a dragon, what is it? Like a Dragon, forgot what it was. Or no, just Yakuza Like a Dragon is that was the one that was turn-based. But okay. I mean, but Yakuza, or let me make sure I'm right, because they switch these names. So yeah, Like a Dragon Ishin is not turn-based, it's regular action.
Yeah.
But it's a period piece, 1860s. It feels it's a JRPG, so it has a little bit of like a Final Fantasy feel in some of the ways they approach their game design, right? But it's also just like, it has a little bit of Ghost vibes too. It's really interesting. And I think that's something you would get into as far as like a story especially with Like a Dragon Ishin, because your guy has a blade and a gun. So I don't
really?
know. Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with a little bit of, I don't think it feels like Bloodborne, but that's a little bit of a Bloodborne-ish combo going on right there,
So this is the Yakuza games, correct?
Yes, like it is in line with the Yakuza. It's in the Yakuza universe.
Because I have played Yakuza 0, but this sounds like it takes place way in the past.
Yeah, like late 1800s.
Okay, that's cool, because I did really enjoy Yakuza 0.
Yeah.
It felt overwhelming. That game was a very long game, and it was in a series of 7
Yes.
7 games at the time. So I'm like,
This is
I
short.
can't, I'm not going to get through this. Yeah, it's
This
shorter.
is shorter.
It's set in a new time period. Like I could be all over that. Really love the Yakuza game that I played. I know you posted some pictures of him in like a little baby outfit.
Yeah.
Game's hilarious. The
it's
side
over the
missions are
top.
hilarious.
Oh, is that what that's from?
Yeah,
Yes.
This
Got
Ishin is more understated. It's taken a
Okay.
little more serious, right? It's not like the Judgment series, but I mean it takes more of a serious tone like the Judgment series.
So if you know, what is like the main mini game in that? Because I feel like all of these have like really in depth.
Ooh,
Because
I don't know.
Because if you tell me something really, I might buy it.
I don't know. It's on sale right now.
I'm like, how much?
Let me check. So main story is 23 hours is what it's being counted as.
That's good. That's really
yeah,
good.
Wow.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Because I remember Yakuza 0 had like a cabaret. You were managing a cabaret. It was awesome. You know, you were like sending employees, hiring people, setting like it was like a sim, a bill, you know, a business sim. It was great.
So this, I'm just reading this. It says 1860s Kyo is plagued by widespread inequality, and one samurai will change the course of history in a search for justice. You take up Sakamoto Ryoma and venture to Kyoto to find your father's killer and clear yourself of a framed murder and restore your honor. Those are those. That's a little bit of a that's a little bit of a what is it? The man, I can't remember anything right now. The the Sega game. What is it?
Shamu?
Shimu, yes. Those are shades of Shimu in that storyline with avenging your father's murder or different things like that. So
I got 2 great games, so I'm happy.
Okay.
I'm like very, very
100%.
happy right now. Like, that issue I might buy. I might
on
buy.
sale, $30 right now.
I was not aware it was a different time period. And like I said, the big hurdle for me was just it's such a expansive series.
Now, the one that's following up the one that we have like the screenshots, the weird one is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. That's the one that's going to be a follow-up.
That's also like a separate.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's like cool. Modern day.
Well, the other ones were those were the 80s, right? Started in the 80s, maybe. Okay. Yep. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. Merry Christmas, guys.
As well, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the prezzies.
Yeah, no problem.
So now we're moving on to New Year's.
New Year's. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Well, you know, New Year, what's the number one thing you hear? I got a New Year resolution. What's your New Year resolution? Yeah. Oh, I'm going to, stop just randomly assaulting people in the street or something like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put out a gaming resolution. What are our gaming resolutions? What are we going to do here? What are we pledging to do or not to do going into the new year?
That's great. What was my example I gave before the show? Because I've already forgot.
Yeah, me too.
Your example was my resolution is to
not buying Mario games.
Not buying Mario.
Sorry to go in front of you, David, but I will forget it. I bought Mario Wonder a month ago or whatever, and it's not. I got to stop buying these genres, and I've mentioned this before with some other genres. I got to stop buying genres that aren't for me. As a seasoned gamer, I know what I like. I know what I dislike. There's always going to be a game that kind of like breaks that mold and kind of gets me into a new genre, but it doesn't happen very often. I bought Mario Wonder. It's good. I can tell it's good. I haven't played it. Just don't really have the interest. An even better game, Baldur's Gate 3. I have not gone back to it. I don't have the interest. I can tell it's a phenomenal game. The stories that I told already just in the first 5 hours were great, and I was excited to tell them, but just CRPGs aren't really for me. So I vow, I hope my resolution is to stop buying games from genres where I really don't care.
Yeah.
The good difficult one.
You guys said you're holding it to me?
We should hold 100%. Them all to each other.
Us and the people.
I hope not to break it in the first couple months.
Okay.
Yeah, see if we can last till April.
Yeah.
All right. So my resolution is to complete 2 stories. I say 2 because I am going to play and finish Hellblade. That's a no-brainer if it comes out next year.
Right.
But I'm going to beat another one. I don't know what it is. Maybe Alan Wake. If I don't beat it before, the New Year's. But I want to do that. I want to kind of venture off from playing the multiplayer all day, every day in my free time. Get some stories in me. It's like I don't read books anymore, Read a book, watch this, finish the story, see what's going on over there.
That's awesome. I love to hear it. You have a really good perspective when you do beat these story games, which that they're it's not a lot, but when you do beat them, always very excited to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Most of the time they're good.
Oh, yeah, like I said,
Was a good
one
story.
of the last big ones you played, I think, was Control. You absolutely loved it, and you were able to kind of like describe some things that like I hadn't seen about it and felt about it. It was nice to hear.
Yeah. My I guess we're kind of all on the same wavelength, it feels like. My resolution is don't buy a game till you beat a game, buddy. Game in, game out. That's what it's got to be. I've been trying to do that. I've been, putting pressure on myself to beat games. I've talked about this before. Like, I feel like I don't beat games. I gotta beat more games now. I gotta stop buying games while I'm, like in rare instances. So like recently, and by recently I think I mean 2 days ago, I bought Total War Rome Remastered, right? But I've already played and beat that game. There wasn't a way for me to play that game on my new system without purchasing the remastered version. So that's why I got that. Right.
Yeah,
that's not a
Right. Makes sense.
But besides that, like, I'm like, hey, I want to get this or get that. I got to beat games. I got to get them done. So, I was able to beat a game recently. I'm happy about that. I'm going to be able to, now I can just go ahead and focus on, okay.
Which game?
Huh?
Which game?
Let's just say not long ago, I completed the final mission of it. And I'm ready to, to move ahead and play one of these other games that I have in my queue that I still own. Because I'm trying to knock them out.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a good resolution. Game in, game out.
Perfect. Game in, game out.
I will never make that resolution. I can't.
You didn't even
the life of me.
Last this, he's like, I'm gonna beat these games first. You're like, well, guys, I bought this game and this game.
Here's the deal. I mean, I don't have to explain myself to you. All right, let's just put it that way. I don't have to explain myself to you.
It's very hard to. It's very hard to explain away buying 2 games, saying you're not going to buy the third, and then buying the third one.
I beat one of those.
Here's the good thing. Here's the good thing. I think you beat 2 out of the 3. If I'm not wrong.
No. The original 3, I beat all 3. I beat Diablo, Tears of the Kingdom, and Final Fantasy 16.
Yes.
And then I got Armored Core and Baldur's Gate 3, which I haven't really touched. And then I got Spider-Man, which I beat immediately, loved it. And then I got Mario Wonder, and then I got Mario RPG and Alan Wake 2. The verdict's out on those.
Go ahead and take out. You got to take out Armored Core. It's the shortest one. Take it on out.
I might go back to that. That one was actually a lot of fun. But I have another resolution, and this actually does involve me buying games.
Yeah.
and not the lack of buying games, buying specific games. With the time that I have to play games, it's been a lot less in the recent years. I've been really focusing on AAA. Hey, this game got a 10 out of 10 on IGN. I gotta buy it. I gotta try it. And they're long games. Those 3 that I just mentioned at the first. Tears of the Kingdom, 80 hours. Final Fantasy, 60 hours. Blah blah blah. I want to buy more indies. I've been really not paying attention to them. They're some of the best games that this business offers now in terms of uniqueness and kind of storytelling and music, as we put it. We just did the Game Awards show. There was 5 indies on there. They all sounded fantastic. Heard of 4 out of the 5, but they all sounded great. Haven't played any of them. I want to play a few more indies. I got to stop buying these AAA and kind of go with the lower, smaller ones that cost less money even, which is nice. And they take less playtime usually. But they provide an experience that sometimes the AAA games can't even provide. So, my resolution is to buy a few more indies because I've really been neglecting them, I would say, in the last even 2-3 years.
Yeah. Indies are great, man. I went back recently and played a little bit of Wildermyth, and God, do I love that game. So, indies rock. And one of those indies for the Game Awards was Cocoon, which I have downloaded. I plan to play, just haven't got to it yet.
Is that on Game Pass?
Game in, game out. Yep, it's on Game Pass.
Okay, nice.
Game in, game out. Is there any other gaming resolutions that we have?
I don't want to make too many and fail on most of them.
Well, right,
one and done.
like last
you
year.
won. I was going to say right now you got one, right? So it's just the one.
Let's see if I can handle one responsibility.
Yeah. I
Got to
think
start somewhere.
another resolution I have is I want to try more legacy gaming franchises. So what I mean by that, Final Fantasy is a legacy franchise that I hadn't really played until I remembered that I played the demo. There's other legacy franchises I think I want to give a chance to. And I'll tell you, I can't guarantee, but I think that legacy franchise is going to be Resident Evil. I think.
Wow.
I think.
You're scared though. How you
Don't
gonna
play
get past that?
Try to figure out the fear. Look, I was able to get over my fear of the mines in Morrowind, which actually aren't really scary at all. I'll be able to get over the fear of a Resident Evil. Okay, I just got to get over it, right? But I'm not playing 2 because that has X going to give it to you. I don't like that guy stomping around behind me. I don't like any
you
of that.
don't want 3 either. I recommend 4 and 5.
I don't want any of the ones where you're just getting actively chased.
And 1, you got to play 1. I don't know if you've completed that one.
Do they keep the fixed cameras in that?
Yes.
Then
Yeah.
I will not be playing that.
So
one.
good. It's so good.
Yeah. It'd
4
be
and 5 is where you want to start off with.
Yeah, I think I might start with 4 because I remember 4 from GameCube, so I might start with 4.
The remake?
Yes, maybe.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see. That's it though for my final gaming resolution. Fellas, are we
good ones.
are we near the end here?
I think so.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Okay. Well,
we forgot that one.
We are going to mention the 8 games that we are looking forward to the most next year each.
you want to do that?
In honor of Hanukkah.
Remember, now someone here doesn't have access to a iPad or research tool. So
that's me.
Does that person want to name the 8 games?
No, just
Okay.
Mazel tov, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa.
There you
Kwanzaa.
go. There we go. Do we have any do we have any games we're looking forward to next year that has a black guy, or a woman in honor of Kwanzaa? There it is.
Hellblade.
Hey,
it's got a woman in it.
There we go. Yeah. That Prince of Persia game. I know he's not black.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. Yeah,
Close enough.
You said it, not us.
Close enough for me.
How about you? Now you got to come up with one.
I got to come up with one. Homeworld 3 is going to come out next year. I'm pretty sure one of the playable characters is going to be some black guy in a military suit because they usually have those in those types of games. So whoever that black guy is, salute to your brother. I'll be playing you and blowing up the alien race with you.
My God.
That brings us to the near the end of this episode, which means it's time for final thoughts. We can make a final thought about something that's related or unrelated to this podcast episode. So who would like to give their final thought first?
Yeah, in honor of the holidays. I mean, I know it's going to be a couple of weeks before Christmas when this episode airs, but just I want everyone to have a great holiday. It's such a special time, and I hope that no matter what your circumstances are, whether you're close to a lot of family or not close, you just can find the joy and the peace that kind of like Christmas and New Year's bring, and just kind of like get into the spirit a little bit. And if you can't, that's okay. Just play games and enjoy yourself. That's cool too.
It is cool. It is cool.
Very nice.
I took David's.
You did.
He looks
Yeah?
disgusted.
A little bit. I was just say, since hey, that's where one of my glass bowls went.
Ah.
I forgot I had a keyboard tray down here. I was gonna say my final thought was gonna be, since Thanksgiving just passed, I was gonna say, thanks for doing this podcast. It's been fun. It's been real, and looking forward to doing it for another year.
Oh, good. I thought you were putting in your resignation letter or something. It's been fun. It's been real. I'm out of here.
No.
Good.
My final thought is that I got Evil West installed on my PlayStation 5. I'm finally going to play it. I've been looking forward to playing it. I got this game from GameFly. I've had it for 5 months.
Oh, you found it.
I did find it. I did found it. I found it, and I'm going to play it and beat it so I can send it back and get rid of my GameFly because I have too many games.
Good thinking.
This is step one. I have too many games. Why am I paying for GameFly? I've got 17 games in my house, maybe more, 27 games in my house that I have not opened. I have to play games. I got to finish them. So I'm looking forward to that, though. Might do a review on it because it's supposed to be a really fun game, but we'll see. But that's my final thought.
All right.
That leads us to the end of level 89 of the Thoughts and Players podcast. If you liked what you heard, subscribe and follow the podcast on your preferred platform. We're pretty much everywhere, like all the big boys. You think of all the big ones like Smartless. You think of all these other big podcasts like Beyond. I think that's what IGN does, right? You think of these other big podcasts like Last Weekend with Theo Vaughn or something like that. Well, guess what? Right next to them, not category-wise, but kind of, it's Thoughts and Players. We're right there with them. That's how legit we are. You can also follow us on the socials, okay? We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on X. I should actually say not Twitter, X. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. And we are on YouTube, where we upload video versions of the podcast. Be sure to check out some stuff there, as well as other videos that we have. Also, if you want to support the show, you can do so in two ways. Merch, like the phone case on this phone.
Yeah, okay? Buddy.
Or merch, like the shirt that Corey has.
Not this one, but a better one.
Not exactly that one.
Well, not better, because, Lauren made this, but...
Laura.
Right.
Just dang it.
You're so close. You added a letter.
But again, maybe
I'm sorry, Laura.
Maybe in honor of Prince of Persia and Hellblade coming out next year, you get a black guy woman t-shirt, okay?
Oh.
No.
Something like that, Or again, maybe you get one of David's beautiful face, which I don't think was sporting the mustache then. This guy's got a mustache now.
Hey, I'm shaving it off at midnight tomorrow, okay?
Really?
It's No Shave November.
That's true.
I'm sick of it.
That's true. I didn't participate intentionally, but I did participate. You can also join our Patreon. We have 3 tiers, $2, $5, and $7 tier with a bunch of different goodies, like reviews that go up there first before they post to YouTube, and a bunch of other exclusives and stuff. So you can check us out there. That is it for me. Fellas, is there anything else you would like to add?
Yeah. Drink your Ovaltine.
All right, there. Radio station on The Christmas Story.
It's a Christmas story.
Okay. Well,
that was nice. That was good. That was good.
That's good.
Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next level.